do with them, how to grow them, all that good stuff. So we have the one and only here, Andre Gutierrez of the Virginia Realty Group. So Andre, come grab a seat, pal.
Good chair.
And we have Kent Ely with Century 21 New Millennium, the Agent E team.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, thank
Pleasure
you
to
very
be
much.
here.
So very good. Have your seats, get your waters.
Thank you. Thank you,
Got
Scotty.
your water, you good?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
Got these two wrapped up.
All right, Kent, why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about you and your business and how long you've been in business
All right,
and all
buddy.
that good stuff,
Well, you and I started about the same time.
right?
Yeah, how long you been there? 32
88.
years? That's it, 88. So, let me tell you what a great thing real estate is. When you wake up every day and I go, I can't believe I'm doing this. Yeah, I mean, every day's different. And never a dull moment. And it's our day to do whatever we want with it.
Right.
So I started when Scotty did, and I went old school on it, because my mama told me early on I talked too much, had a big mouth. So I figured I'd use that to my advantage if I could. So I did a lot of walking and talking, and my business is like, because I study up on Andre, and you're a man on a mission. You got a good outlook on the biz, but basically, I built it by relationships and just staying in touch with people over the years. Now, people ask me, will say, what's that database that you use? I hear it's Realty Juggler. I hear it looks pretty good. But if you said to me, get on that and pull some stuff out of there and tell me how it works, I don't know if I have a clue. But I can tell you this. The key to it all is staying on it and continuing to touch people and stay in touch with them. And that's what we've done over the years. And I think about this a lot. I was saying the other day, I said, how about if I go out on a listing appointment and maybe we don't agree on say what the fees are. And that's okay. That's okay, because if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I walk out of there and live to do it another day, and I'm basing my business on who I know and prospecting and touching and staying in the game and continuing to cultivate those relationships, the business is going to be there. So what I've learned about it is we can turn it on, we can turn it off, and when we turn it off, things will slow down for us, but when we keep it going, things stay right in stride. And so that's a big, I think about what a beautiful thing it is, because, I remember when Sky and I were first doing it, they had this, buddy, in the MLS there was no screen.
Right.
So you just had this, what kind of paper was it? Yeah, and you'd have to cut it. You have to have scissors and cut the listings up, And fax machines just started, and they break down a lot back then. And the cell phone was in a big bag, that big bag, cord. That thing get all wrapped up around everything, and before that, just stopped where a phone booth was, made a call. So I think about all that and where the business is gone. But even with texting people and the cell phone, whatever, it's really beautiful, because at night I can sit down and watch a ball game and I can text 25 people. Now I'm a slow typer, so it's going to take me twice the amount of time as a normal human. But you can do that. But the key to it all, like I went in yesterday and I wrote 12 notes. And I figure I can write a note I can write about 10 in an hour. But I've slowed down a little bit in my young age, and maybe now it's about 8. And I just felt like I had time, and I took more time, and I took longer to write those notes. But they were notes to people I've known for years. And I went deep. I went a little deep in them. But I wanted to say some things that was personal about them. And so I do a lot of that. And in 2012, and then I'll shut up and let the man speak. But in 2012, what we started doing, the team and I, and they helped do it for me because they're a lot smarter than I am, and they could say, this is what you got to do. But I basically took everybody I prospected too. I took the total hours. I took how many calls did I make? How many door knocks did I make, did I do? How many client lunches? How many email birthdays, which I don't know how to do, but the team does it for me. But that's good because we're touching them. Texts, handwritten notes, whatever it may be. How many did I do? And I followed it from 12 up to 12, 13, 14. It got better in a year because I kept doing it. And then I looked at the hourly wage, which when I saw that, I said, wow, why didn't I learn this before now? I need to start doing more of this. So I looked at how many hours in a year would I prospect, and I would look back and say, how many transactions did I get out of that? What's the hourly wage? And for each transaction, how long did it take me? How many hours of prospecting for a deal? And so I learned a couple things about that. The main one being, in staying in touch with people, I don't want to have the mindset that I'm looking for a transaction. I want to have the mindset that I want to reach out to them, and I have a passion to reach out to them. And what I have found about that, a byproduct of that is, you're going to get all the business you could ever want. And it's the most rewarding, least resistant, most profitable business you could have. So the other thing that I looked at when we did that and kept our numbers, and I can tell you, in 14, what came out of it, outside of just my personal, on the phone, door knocking, whatever, was 69 transactions out of that.
And how many people?
There were, as far as people, the database, Scotty, was 600, 700, but I can tell you, the meat and potatoes of it's about 150. And that was 372 hours of prospecting in that time. $2,100 hourly wage when you break it down that way. And I looked at it, I said, gee, Chris, I think that's where the future may be. You know, but I said, and you know what I like, and Scotty has said this a lot, Andre, you've heard me say it. Now, I'm not saying this is bad. I didn't pay Zillow anything. I didn't do any big direct marketing. I'm not very good at that. I didn't spend anything. Stamps have gone up a little bit, but it's still a good deal. You can put something in the mail on a Sunday night, and daggone if it won't get there the next day on a Tuesday if it's local. It's hard to beat that. So what I've learned about that is when you look at those numbers, when you can look at those numbers and see if I prospect, what comes of it? What is the hourly wage? How many hours do I need to do it for something cool to happen? And in 2014, it was between 5 and 6 hours. No matter what it be, text, email, go see them, which I've told you what a go see them is, you know. Yeah. Go, like in Florida, when something bites you, it's a no see them. Well, go see them. If you don't go see them, you'll get a no see them. It'll bite you. Well, there you go. So anyway, that's why you go see them. Oh, by the way, when you go see them, and everybody's got their own style, and a fellow said to me once, he said, how's your weekend? I said, well, I want to see a nice couple. I hadn't seen them in 5 years. And he said, well, did you bring them anything? I said, well, no, what was I supposed to bring them? He said, it'd been nice to bring them a gift. And I said, well, didn't need to do that, because when the dog came out, I remember the dog's name. And I said, I don't know how, but it wasn't about me bringing them a gift. It was about me going there and saying, hey, how are you? I just came by to say hello. And I think when we stay in that's all the business we could ever handle with the people we know. If we cultivate it, nourish it, groom it, stay in touch with them, that's all we got to have, right there. So, buddy, please forgive me for the long-windedness. Andre, please forgive me. I'm not sure what you asked me.
Tell us your name, what you do.
Oh, yeah, my name is Agent E, and I've considered things like Amway and what have you. But I'm happy to be here.
All right, thank you.
All right, so what was the question?
Sorry, guys. Sorry, Andre, I talked too much.
I'm here to learn from you, man.
You're too kind.
I'm here to take notes too.
So tell us about you, how long you've been in business, and how you've been successful.
So, I know the topic is databases. So I've been in the business since March of 2011. Since March of 2011, I've been with Remax Gateway, interviewed multiple brokers, and Scott was the only one who really stood out and was what I was looking for. So one of the best decisions I've ever made, and Lord knows I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life. We're on team TVRG Homes, and I think the database is everything. So how many people here have a database? Show of hands. So everyone's got a database. Okay. If you didn't raise your hand or I didn't see it, and if you don't have a database, you need a database. How many people know how many people are in their database right now? If I pointed at you. Okay. How many people logged into their database this morning? There we go. Okay. So you should. The more you track everything, the more you know your numbers. I think the more successful you'll be. From the amount of people in your database, and then, like Kent said, going deep is key. Because if you call everyone in your database and all you say is, you know anyone who wants to buy or sell, that's going to get old real quick. But if you know the kids' birthdays, their birthdays, where they live, their interests, the pets, I know people's pets' birthday, not by memory, but by the database. So I think the deeper you go with your clients, the more important it's going to be. And don't sweat it if they don't buy from you right now or they don't refer you right now. Keep at it. Every year I talk to agents on the team and I'm like, yeah, this deal I'd like you to help me work. It's someone I've been calling for 3 years and they haven't returned my call, and now they want to buy and sell. And it's like every year there's transactions like that. You want to remember these numbers: 11, 17, 25, and 47. So 11% of the people you meet or are in your database, those people will do a transaction with you within 30 to 60 days, give or take. 17% of the people that are in your database right now will do some sort of real estate transaction or refer somebody within 6 months. 25% within 9 months. 47% won't do a transaction or real estate with you or refer you to somebody until they've known you for a year. So the first year, yeah, of course, that's kind of hard to get to that 47%. But every year after that, it just keeps snowballing. So you want to have that faith and think that 47% is where the biggest return is on the investment of time. Somebody told me that I didn't make up those numbers. Talking with real estate coaches and top producers like Ken, telling me stuff like that, and I was like, okay, fine. I got nothing to lose, and it's much cheaper, like Ken said, to just reach out to them and be valuable when you're reaching out to them, and it works. So that's the key on databases. It doesn't matter if it's an Excel spreadsheet or Realty Juggler or Commissions Inc. or Salesforce or Wise Agent or Referral Maker. I've done research on so many databases, and I think the biggest thing is if you just have your database, you look at it every day, you sort it, you cultivate it. If you're familiar with the Buffini system of referrals, from an A+ client to a D client, you can have an internet lead category. I have all kinds of weird categories because it's a reason to reach out. So like I have a category: Andre's Mother's Day contacts, Andre's Father's Day contacts. People of different ethnicities have different Independence Days, different Mother's Days. Those are all reasons to reach out. I call my friend's dad. I'm like, hey, happy Bolivian Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. He's like, damn, my own son didn't even call me. I'm like, hey. What he wants to buy and stuff? So, and then it's asking for the business. And I'm big on birthdays. So Scott gave me a great tip on birthdays. It's not too expensive. Sending them a $2 bill. Happy birthday and enjoy your special day written on the $2 bill. They'll never throw that away. I was doing that and $5 Starbucks cards. And those $5 Starbucks cards had gotten me some of my biggest deals I've ever landed. Like huge deals that are just, I'm like, oh my, they're like, dude, you send me a birthday card every single year. So, but the only way I'll know that is if I look at my database every day. Yeah. And I stay organized, and I usually look like on Facebook to see if my clients have a birthday coming up that I don't have in my database, and then I kind of cross-reference it and add it in. I'm hard on myself if I miss a birthday. And your database is bigger than what you think. I guarantee you, and myself included, there's people that that aren't in your database. There's people on social media that you could talk to in person and they're not in your database. There's people that do your hair and fix your car and treat you when you go to the doctors that aren't in your database. And I think the more you expand your database, the more business you'll get, because it's literally a numbers game. Part of my business plan I went over with Scott was, how do I grow my database? What am I not, who am I missing here? Like, help me get those ideas flowing, because I want to make sure that I'm maximizing. So database, I think, is the central nervous system to your entire business. And off that, you can call them. The calls are most effective. It's easy to hide behind the computer and send emails, right? But they don't get the highest return. Calling them gets the highest return. And don't feel bad if they don't answer. Everyone, myself included, every single day. I was on the phone on the way here making my calls. And I always have the doubt that I'm going to bother them. I'm always like, oh, is it the right time? I have like clients that are in California, so I make sure that, I'm not calling them at 9 a.m. here, right? But other than that, if it's during business hours and you're calling to check in, then it's okay. Now, if all you do is call to check in, that's going to get old as well. So you got to have reasons to call. I find that it's easier for me to talk with people that we have like interest in. Fortunately, I have a lot of interest in a lot of things. So, but like I couldn't really call somebody and talk about like golf. I'm not good at golf. I play with Remax and that's about it. And I'm terrible at it.
We don't call that playing.
Yeah.
Riding in the cart and drinking beer.
Point taken.
Which is a great sport on its own.
Which is a good sport. See, I can call clients to talk about beer though, or we can talk about football, or we can talk about soccer, or kids, or and then we do client events, and what we do with our client events, truly the reason we have the client events is so we have a reason to call. We'd be okay. The amount of people who actually attend, it's great, but that's not the reason. Is to get them to attend. It's a reason to do. We do 4 client events a year. The last one is Breakfast with Santa, and then we do 3 more throughout the year, 1 a quarter, with a reason to call and check in and say hello. Say, hey, we're doing our client event. We'd love to see you. This is our way of saying thank you for us being successful in the real estate business. That is being a realtor, not asking for the business, but yet you're putting that bug in their ear. And I mean, somebody's going to have a decision to make every quarter about buying or selling. So it's a non-intrusive way to ask for the business. And then ask for the business. Keep us in mind, or if you really have a reason to call, like inventory's low right now, right? Everybody knows inventory's low. If you have buyers in the area, I call my clients on every area I'm in. Mm-hmm. Hey, I literally have a client in Sterling Park. I know you live in Sterling Park. If you happen to know anyone, it's true. So it kind of has to be real, because then if they call you on it, then, I'm going to call Scott and he's going to, come with me as the buyer.
You can buy it, buddy.
I have a question for you. Do you leave a message every time, or
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Yep.
you just say, "Hey, it's in
Yeah.
here. I am."
They did it too.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I count that. I count that.
one of the questions
Yeah.
I was going to
Oh,
ask
that
is
counts.
what's the best form of communication? So Andre says it's calling people. What's your best communication with your database?
The most effective, from what I've seen, when you break down the numbers and you're really charting it to see what's the best return, that's the old door knock. The face-to-face, belly-to-belly, that's pretty much, it doesn't get much better than that.
But do you just show up at their door and knock on
I
them
do.
through the
I
neighborhood?
go with the element of surprise.
Okay.
And I would say I've seen often many of them are a tad scared or taken back. I just tell hey, voice got a little more funky over time. So, but I'll tell you a quick story about that if I could, Scotty, Andre, if you don't mind. By the way, what Andre said, I was making mental note. What you just said about you just said about 8 nuggets on like the numbers and how you do it. I'm running with them. I just want you to know I'm running with them. There was some nuggets.
We're
There was some
recording it too,
nuggets.
so you can go back and watch it.
Oh, I like that, buddy. Oh, I like that. But not to watch myself, but Andre. But this is funny as saying. I just got to tell this story. And Cindy and Brother Weiss, please forgive me because you've only heard it 20 times. But so I sold a house to a lady in Arlington Village, 1988. And I had her home number, for years, and I'd call her a home number, and I'd send her notes maybe once a year, a handwritten note. Oh, she's a sweetheart. The years rolled around pretty bit. That was 1988. It was July 1, 1988. But it really wasn't. I figured that out. It was June 30th, and then it took them the next day to record the deed, and then thus it showed July 1. So anyway, I knocked on her door late January 2012. And, I'm not a right man, but I said, gee, lookers, it's 24 years have gone by. That's quite some time. So I knock on the door Sunday morning. It's about 11:30. And no answer. So it's a row house. And so I go back out to the individual sidewalks up to each door, and I go out to the main sidewalk, and the door opens. And the client is at the door, and she sort of looks at me, and I go, hey, Carol. She doesn't mind if I say her name, because I've asked permission. I said, Carol, and I go, it's E. And she looked at me like I was like from outer space, and then it hit me. I said, she didn't know me as E. when I sold her the house. I better come up with my real name. And so she asked me in. We had about a 15-minute talk. She had adopted a sweet girl from China, and she said, look back here. There are all these rows of houses. She said, 5 single mothers have adopted. And look in the front. 5 more have adopted in these townhomes. And she's showing me all the pictures. She goes, now she's up to her sleeping like a teenager. It's 11:30, like teenagers do. And we talked and talked and talked. And when I walked out and I left that door, she said, hey, she said, now, I don't mean to be morbid. She said, but my aunt's in her 90s, and she's got a single-family house close by, and can I get your help? I said, whatever you need, absolutely. So 3 months later, we sold her aunt's house. 3 years later, we sold her mom's house, which was a house she grew up in. And my bride and I, we go to her Christmas party every year. She has a great old Christmas tree, these old school ornaments. But what I get out of that is, if I hadn't knocked on that door, it's highly likely after 24 years, I would not have been in a position to help her. And Andre, you touched on it. And what I've learned back, it is never too late. It is never too late. I mean, good Lord willing, I plan to do it for another 40 years. So it's never too late. And so there was a relationship there that just sort of stalled out, came back, and it's been wonderful. But another thing that you mentioned, there's some people, and when you're talking about, do you leave them a message? Oh, they get your message. And you may not talk to them for 5 years, but you leave them messages, and they'll get them, and then you'll get a call from them. And here's what I've learned, and it's something you're saying there, Andre, is your database, and mine's really off the seat of my pants. I'm like, I've got to note it on a card, who am I going to call today? And so I've got 5 or 6 people I'm going to call, plus I'm going to send out, I still call them HUDs, settlement statements, this year from last year with a note on them. But every day I know who I'm going to call. Clients can go away and buy and sell with somebody else. And it's all right. It's all right. Because we're going to own that database. And they may go wayward, so to speak, but we're going to follow back up. Because we're going to own it. They're our clients for life. So it's a beautiful thing, because there's power in those numbers. When we were talking about, Scotty, in my old age here, I've looked at it. When I first really tracked it really, I got granular with it. But I knew that it would take me between 5 and 6 hours of prospecting, no matter what mode. I just averaged it out. Even though the door knocking is
5 to 6 hours a week.
Well, that year it was 7 hours a week is all it was. A little over 7 hours a week. But yes, whether it's in one sitting or whatever, or in a week, 5 hours will get you a transaction. But the longer you do it, and the more you grow it, it's less than that. It's right between 3.5 and 4. So I know door knocking on a nice day is my best. Then call. Then Kumar and I talk about this a lot. The other difference maker is a handwritten note. It's a handwritten note. And yesterday when I was in the office and I had all these Wall Street journals and Washington Post sports pages from November that I was going to send out to people. And I just went through them. I went through them. And when I got to an article where, boom, it associated with a client, I cut it out. And I've learned it helps to read them a little bit. Casey calls it, what the hell just sent me? Gee whiz, because that's quite offensive. What's the thought to count it? I don't need, well, it takes too long. But anyway, so I'll send it out with a personal note. So for example, got a really sweet couple. He's from Chile. She's from Italy. So I sent him 2 articles about Chile that I saw in the fall and found one to her about this is a good Italian wine. And I sent her that yesterday with a note. But it's personal. It's personal. And if that's one thing about selling, because you know somebody said to me the other day, said, well, what do you do? I said, well, I sell real estate. Well, sell being the key word, because that's what we still do. That's what we still do. So when you learn something about somebody, and what, Andre, like you said, what their tastes are, when their birthday is, no matter what it is. But if you're on point and it's on your mind, you could be anywhere. You could be walking through an airport, see a ball cap, or see somebody that reminds you of them, and you write that handwritten note. You know, date it, write it, and you know, I don't write all that well. I just write how I would say it, and so it's door knocking, phone calls, and notes probably about the same because those notes are powerful. I tell you what, talked a lot, the text. New Year's Day, sent about 30 texts out. Missed a whole ball game. I said, what's going on with that? But it was easy. It was easy. I was sitting on the couch, sending out those texts. It was easy. Yeah. And folks responded back. And I mean, you know, the key to it all is freeing up enough time in the day. If you look and say, what's the most fun of the day? It's doing that. It's doing that. The other stuff will come if we figured how to do it, how to get the other stuff, the administrative stuff to work. But it's that. That's the power. That's what drives our business and our success. There's no doubt about it.
So you say calls, and then what comes next for you?
For me, it's calls. What I do more is calls and notes. So I have, and one thing I wanted to touch before I forgot it, was when you call, it has to be about them. Take an interest in them, and it won't feel as hard to do. And everyone, there's more things that you have to talk about than real estate. And there's more things that you guys have in common than you guys really know if you just go a little deeper when you're calling them. Like the guy I was on the phone with right before I came in here, he's in California, and he is like an engineer or something, but he loves to talk real estate. So he lives in Sacramento. I've sold him 3 houses out here. When he goes to buy a Sacramento house, he's going to use me to refer him somebody. And he loves to talk about the market. I call him like I'm calling another realtor. I'm like, so what are you seeing? What's going on? Because he loves to talk. And I just let him talk. You know, and I'm learning something. But when you call, be genuine about it. Like I was taking a trip to Costa Rica last year. I know a couple people that are my friends and clients who have been to Costa Rica. So I called them to pick their brains about Costa Rica. Man, I was like, hey, I gotta let you go. Like, you know, I'm okay, right? So, but it was, and they were just so happy. And they don't know why they like to talk to me so much. It's because I let them talk. And people love to talk about themselves.
I was just wondering, do you, during that same phone call that's about something else, do you then say anything about real estate? Like,
If the time is right,
okay.
I do. I say, hey, keep me in mind. You know, I would love to help anyone you know. It depends on how the conversation goes. So I don't always stick with the, oh, by the way, if you know anyone looking to buy or sell, you know, but I to answer your question, yes, I word it in some way, somehow. I'll be like, hey, I'm actually pulling up to show some houses right now. Let's chat. So like, you know, it's kind of always secondary in their mind, but absolutely. That's what I was saying
What
today.
time of day is best to call?
whenever you have time.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is you got to do it. There's no time of day that's best or worse. I mean, obviously 9:30 at night.
The creative avoidance is called during the day to dual working people, because you know they're not gonna answer.
Well, do you want them to not answer like you?
No, I mean, that's a creative avoidance,
Yeah, it's a creative avoidance.
but
I'm saying, like, I noticed that, like, when I called a lot of people and expired a listing, it didn't matter what time of day, because most of the people have their phone at work unless they live government contracting. So, for example, they could be going down the hall to get water or something. Oh, hey, you get a quick call, you know, just whatever time of day.
I can't tell you how many times I call people. I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, hey, I catch you at a good time. They're like, no, I'm at work. What's up? Like, you know, other people, they just won't answer. The way I look at it is I don't look at the time of day as to what's best for who I'm calling. Come hell or high water, I've got to make my calls and write my notes. And so I try to structure my day as to, okay, my main goal is 10 calls a day, Monday through Friday, 10 database calls. So not like, hey, the home inspection's in an hour, I'll see you there. That's not a call. It's not someone who you have under contract or you're actively helping look because you've already engaged with them. Hey, yeah, we're gonna go see 4 houses on Saturday. If you're calling, just like, hey, how you doing? I'm calling to check in. If I do, we just talked last week. So what I mean is a database call on someone that you haven't spoken to. And that kind of call, I set 10 a day, Monday through Friday. So my goal is 3 calls before the huddle we have at 9:45, 3 more calls before lunchtime. So that's 6. So then I've got till about 5 or 6 o'clock to get to 4. And I've got to fit it in some way, somehow. But the key to doing that is, just like Kent has, doesn't matter if it's a piece of paper, if it's online, if it's in an email draft or the Evernote, know who you're going to call before the day starts. So then it's so gratifying just to hit that checkbox or check it off. That's the key, is setting time. So like I just have a little bit of parameters for myself. I don't, if they're not available, they're not going to answer.
So for your notes, do you have like a set, how many notes you do per
10 a
week?
day.
Or 10 a day? for
10 a day.
notes?
50 notes is my minimum. If it's more birthdays, then it'll be more than that, but 10 is the minimum. And now on the notes, I write notes to a lot of people that aren't always clients. If I go under contract, I usually write a note to the other agent.
Yeah.
I
There are
write-
clients too.
Right, I'm establishing a nationwide network of agents, so they get birthday cards. To me, they're like clients, because they refer us business in and out. And then I also speak Spanish, so here, I'm like, hey, by the way, if you don't have anybody who speaks Spanish to take your Spanish leads, I'd love to pay you a nice referral fee. So I write my notes 10 a day, and those are usually done by 6 a.m. So that way, if I can get my notes done before the day starts, and then I can pepper in my calls throughout the day, the rest of the day is going to go crazy, right? There's going to be an appraisal issue. There's going to be someone who called you at 9 and they want to see the home at 3 that just went on the market, and your kid's going to call you because they're sick, and your other kid forgot their lunch. This is like what happened today. Right? So that stuff is always going to happen. It's never going to go away. But all of that stuff is not a money-making activity, especially when you compare it to calls. And then the other thing I do is 20 go-see-ems. We call them pop-bys a month. And those I do a little differently than Kent, although I like it. I do bring a gift. And I just set 20 different people a month. And my gifts range, it just, one, if it's something I know my client likes, like around Christmas, I usually get ornaments of my client's favorite football teams, right? If I've never done that. But I get gifts of things that are seasonal and that they can't eat, because then they'll throw it away and forget about me. But if I get them a vase for Valentine's Day, and that's something it'll be harder to throw away. It's got my business card on it, and it does have a tag that says something corny about how I'm never too busy for your referrals. So like in the summer, like we drop off like a ketchup, mustard, and relish packet, and we're like, it says, I just wanted to catch up and let you know that I relish your referrals and my clients always cut the mustard, or something like that. Something funny. And we do that every month, so 20 a month. And that's kind of because everything else is going to happen. I'm going to have to draw police or do this or look at the HOA documents or get violations taken care of or all these other things. So I just kind of set that, and then the other part of it is getting a lot of it done before your day starts. Because at 9 o'clock on a Monday, especially, if you haven't done stuff, the Mondays to me are just kind of, when the contracts get ratified and lenders are calling you and you need documents, and all the other things that we all go through on a regular basis.
That's awesome. How do you structure your time to contact your people, Ken?
I think Well, Andre nailed it. You've got to set your goal and know who you're going to touch, and know that pretty much every day. One thing I wanted to mention, if I said, hey man, when's the prime time that works best for me to call people, go see them? It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. So if I've got an appointment in the morning or whatever it may be, or in the afternoon, or if I don't that day, I'm gonna hit those phones or go see them. Do the go see them is pretty hard. That's usually the day where they're the most relaxed. They're most, they're likely gonna pick up the phone if they do, and they're just more receptive to it. But like Andre was saying, and the key is like yesterday, I knew who I was going to touch today, and I'll make sure I touch them today. So I didn't do it this morning, but before the day is over, I will make sure I do that. And I'm always thinking ahead, who do I want to touch next? And I'm always looking at my database, who I want to touch next. So I know if I devote X amount of hours to it, and like you were saying, one day, all heck may break loose, and we can't do it. But I got to get back on it the next day, because I know that's the bread and butter. I think the key is you know how many you have to do in a week. Andre is on it to do it every day, but you gotta stay on it, because the power is in that time and numbers.
So you have 600 to 700 people in your database?
Yes.
How about you, Andre?
Just over 1,700 now.
1,700. Okay, so how would someone go from having, let's say, nobody in their database to getting a good number in their database, 350, 400 people?
Before we address that, I know Don had a question.
Oh, sorry.
And I didn't.
Just a quick question about the birthday card thing. Do you
Yeah.
have something pre-printed, or do you do a hand note and just wish them a happy birthday? Do you put a business card in it? I mean, do you keep it completely personal, or do you have something ready to go and you just sign it and put your $2 or your gift card in it?
So I just have like blank note cards that are not real estate related.
Okay,
So it's like, just blank note cards.
okay.
They don't necessarily say happy birthday on them either. It's just like a picture of like a
Like
pretty
the
sunset.
Buffini card.
Buffini or like what?
Yeah, you got a birthday card from us.
Yes.
Right, so we just have pre-printed happy birthday cards, and then we just write a little note on the inside
Yeah,
and
and
send it to you.
And so what I do, so to answer your question, mine's not a birthday card, but it's blank and it's not real estate related. Happy birthday, your name, happy birthday, Don. Hope it's the best ever, or hope it's awesome, hope it's amazing. It depends on my clients, like if they know my sense of humor, I'll draw like a birthday cake and it's like, slice it up a little bit. Business card, and then whatever else.
You do put a business
My
card.
handwriting is so sloppy, I need to put my business card in so you know it came from
Okay,
me.
that was my
That's the
question.
only
That was my
that's why I
question.
put
Do you
my
keep
hand,
it
yeah.
completely personal to them, or do you still put a card in it?
business card. Yeah, I do.
Inside the letter.
Dawn,
Or on the back.
the cool thing about that is,
Inside your card.
yeah. See, that's on it.
Yeah.
And it's, if you've got your brand, so you can do up note cards on your brand, so like I've got my badge on my envelope, H&E license to sell, and then I've got a note card on the front of it's just a green E, just for H&E, and then I just open it up and it's blank. My badge is on the back of the card, so I send my magnet, which is a badge, my card, 2 cards, when I have hair and when I don't have hair, just so they'll know it's still me. And but it's your brand, which is pretty cool because they identify with it over time. And one thing I've noticed about database, Scott, when we're looking at it, I take my database, and when I say 657, they are nuts and bolts people that if I went to see right now, you know what I mean? So we have a good relationship. I mean, we've got a long-standing relationship. I know that I can take that database, and I mentioned before 150, I can take it down to 150, and that will give me enough business all day long if I'm consistent with it. You know, I really, you know, but I would say, you know, when you ask, well, how did you start?
How do you start? Yeah.
Well, I think every client you have,
But you don't have any clients. You're new to the
Okay.
business.
Oh,
Like, when did you start yours? How did you start your
then
database?
it's everybody you know and everybody you meet, you know, and then you touch them, and then you send them a note, and you can call them, and if there's anything, and I think this is the way it really grows, is that in your conversation with anybody and everyone, if you can pick up on something that they personally like, and you remember that, then whenever you see that or read it or whatever, anywhere, you send it to them. And that's how you can grow it. And if you make an effort to do that every day, if you just did one every day, well, there's your 365. Next year will be 366. Leap year next year in 2020. But anyway, but that's how you do it. As you come into contact with people, and here's what I think too. Hey man, we're salespeople. We're supposed to tell the story of real estate. It's all right. It's a lot of fun. It's a heck of a gig. We've got something to give. We've got something to give. So you just, as you meet people, if you just touch them and keep touching and be consistent, they'll see that. They'll see that. I mean, over time, they do. They call you.
And then, what is your goal to grow your database? And how do you get new people? Once you have 657 people, how do you get to 700 or 1,700? How do you get to 2,000?
So I think to answer your first question, everybody here has been alive for at least 20 years. So you have a phone book, you have contacts. So start with your baseline. Export your contacts to an Excel spreadsheet. Sort them, and with those people, just those people, focusing on that, whether it's 50 people or 200 people in your phone book, focus on that. Say, oh, you know what? I know this person's significant other, but I don't have them in here, but I know their name, right? So then you add that, oh, you know what? I know this person. Her son plays with my son, so add the son's name and start like that. So that's your baseline, right? Then go on your social media if you're on social media and see who you know that you can connect with, and because that's another powerful. I mean, technology as a tool is amazing. Technology as a slave will destroy you, but technology as a tool will grow your business. I'm good for 8-9 transactions off social media every year, and going in there and looking at that and cross-referencing it with your database. So one, the people you know. Everybody puts everything on social media. Little Johnny broke his leg. Oh my gosh, is little Johnny okay? Let me bring him some movies, because he's going to be bedridden for a little while. So that's a clue as to how you're going to serve your people. The other thing is, okay, these people aren't in my phone book, but they're on my social media. I know them well enough. That's another tool. Then go through your day and see what you do every month. Where do you get your oils changed? Do you do that at the same place every time? Do you get your hair done at the same place? Do you get your nails done at the same place? Do you have a favorite restaurant, a favorite waiter? So you got to just kind of just think of who you're working with. I think that would be step 3. Step 4 is literally in the business. If you don't have enough people in your business, then you should be doing open houses. And you should be going to networking events that are not realtor related. Not saying that those are, those aren't to be attended as well, but go to the BNIs. There's BNI, Business Networking International, BNI Nova. You can go to any meeting and you can attend it for free, regardless of whether there's a realtor or not. Forget about that. There's also a lot of people who are not realtors, and you're looking for a way to add to your database. That's one way. So networking events, the chamber events, hosting open houses. It should be a non-negotiable that people sign in. And you need to capture their information for a number of reasons. This isn't about open houses, so I won't go into why, but that's a way to add to your database. If you don't have enough people in your database, you should be doing an open house until you have enough people in your database.
Just from the past 5 weeks I've done Keeper Scott, I've gotten over 50 people on my database just from that.
Man,
That's 10 people a week.
that's awesome.
And we got shut out yesterday.
Yeah,
So really, it's four open houses resulted in 12
exactly.
additions each time.
And if you keep following up with them, money.
Absolutely.
Andre and Ken. So this is just a little bit off topic, but for both of you, What time do you start what time do you wake up in the morning, generally, Monday through Friday? And how many hours a week are you putting into real estate, an honest count of hours per week, counting your weekend work?
You go for it, Andre, because you're a young charging buck. You probably work out like 24/7 and just warming up.
Energizers are funny. Yeah.
So my Monday through Friday is pretty regimented for the most part. I wake up about 4:40 to 4:50, give or take, and I have my coffee. So I have my morning routine set. I have my coffee on auto brew, so it's set to brew at 4:35. So when I come downstairs, the coffee's hot, and I'm like mumming downstairs, and but like wake up, gym clothes. So I have 2 alarm clocks, and because I'm not a morning person, so I have a sunrise alarm clock next to me that wakes me up with light and noise, and then I have one on the other side of the room that also like makes really loud noise, and they're set at different times. That's the only way I'm getting up. My gym clothes are on the ground, so I go put my gym clothes on, brush my teeth, and I like mummy downstairs, pour the coffee, put ice cubes in it until I can drink it, and then I drink it, and then I'm good, right? So by then I write a quick gratitude journal, and then I write my notes. So that's my morning. But then I go to the gym at 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, I'm back home. My kids go to school at 8. So between 7 and 8, I'm with my kids. And then I shower and I'm ready to go to work by like 8:45, 8:40. So that's, that's a couple hours there, and then it just really depends. I don't ever measure my hours. I try to take 1 day a week off, but I've worked 30, 40 days in a row before, showing houses when it's hot. Like the week of Christmas, I worked a little, but I mean, I've worked, April, May, and then, took a day off in June before. So it's really hard to gauge. I try to be engaged with my family when I'm engaged, and when I'm not, when I'm engaged in work, I'm also all in. So it's hard to answer your question, but I guess if I had to give you one, it would be 50-ish hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll do open houses. My clients want to see homes, open houses. It's kind of, as long as I make my calls, my notes, and my Popeyes, it's everything else kind of just falls into place. Because I'm not like, I work 51 hours a week. That's not, or I've only worked 32 hours a week.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. How about you, Ken?
Well, now, Andre, I bet you put in 65 to 75 hours some weeks and won't even know it, like when you say you do 30 days. And so when I was younger in the business, and Scotty used to talk about this, I remember I saw Scotty one day, I said, "How was your day, buddy?" And you walked in and goes, "Well, I got 2 buy broker agreements, got a listing, did a closing, got a couple of rentals." And I said, "How in the world did a man have all the time for that?" But I never forget that. That was probably like 25 years ago. And but I think
That was
about
yesterday.
You're just warming up. That's good. But I think about it because, back in the day, and when I'd show houses a lot, I'd show like, just for example, 8 houses in Herndon in the morning, and then rush across town to Fairfax and show like 8 more, and then at 6 o'clock at night have 21 messages on the machine. I just, oh man, and it got, so after a while you try to adjust a bit. My schedule, it's more flexible now. I don't have. I do like to get up early, but if I'm tired, I'll sleep in. I'll sleep in because I know whatever I got to do that day, I want to be at full strength. My bride and I also have a pug. The pug stores like a drunken sailor. So oftentimes you'll find you need to sleep in because it's quite hard to catch adequate shut-eye with a pug in the house. But so I've got where there's no set thing. I always try to be in the office or set up for business by 8:30, 9 o'clock. In the mornings early I'll get up. If I feel like getting on the bike, I will. If I want to work out, I will. Read a little bit, I will. Or get on the bike and return emails or texts, I will. But I've sort of shifted it now since I've been doing it for a while, and I didn't want to wear myself out. I try to be mindful of hey, what is my sole job? What is my sole job? And that's basically to prospect and stay in touch with my clients and sell. And we've got a team, and which I'm blessed to be a part of, and they're all a lot smarter than I am, and that helps a lot. But I say that because the way I try to look at it is that I got to stay on point. I got to stay on point. I got to stay on point at what I do best, and let the administrative things and all that other stuff sort of fall in place. And it's hard to do, but fall in place with the team doing it, and administratively it being taken care of, because they do a lot better than I do. And when I say that, I know that I've set it up where I'm more flexible now. I love working Saturdays. Still work Saturdays, worked yesterday. I love working Saturdays. Saturday means just like a Tuesday. So I love doing that. But I've got it down now that when I'm doing it, I want to be on point. And a fellow told me the other night, he goes, look, he said, I've been in the insurance business 45 years. He said, I went down to Dallas when I was like 23 years old. And the president of the company came in there and said, listen, let me tell y'all something. If you want to be successful, make the best use out of it. Every second and every day, like you do, Andre. You know, but my point being, when I'm on point, that's what I need to do. The other thing I wanted to say, Scotty, about when you're growing your database and you start your database, the key to it all, in my humble opinion, is basically, and you nailed it, you said the word serve. It's to do it with a servant's heart. Because when you look at it that way, and you nailed it, Andre, when it's about them, which it really is about them, it really is about them. When you look at it that way, the business will come over and over and over. It will bless you over and over and over, but it's with a servant's heart. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? And what we do for that person, we may not ever sell that person a house. We may not. But we may sell their cousin one, or their neighbor, or their coworker, or their son 25 years down the road, if we stay on it. And that's what it's all about. It's what can we do for them? And if we go with that mindset, I mean, it's all the business we could handle.
And Paul, to go back on your question, so I do work a lot. I love what I do though. I could work 24/7, but I don't. And I schedule my off time first. So like this Thursday, my son's going into the 7th grade. I'm going to Rocky Run to be there for like the parent night thing. It's a non-negotiable. It's already on my calendar. You know, but I tell my clients all the time, like when I meet a new buyer, I'm like, hey, I know sometimes, you know, we work 7 days a week. I may not work all 7 days, but that's why the team is here, so we can serve you, because the business doesn't stop if I'm sick, if I'm on vacation, if I'm in another appointment. So I'll do my best to get back to you. But if you want to see a home that comes on the market, you see it at 9 in the morning, and you're off work at 5, let me know and we'll make it happen. You know, so I do have some flexibility. I'm really regimented about my morning. The rest of the day, like I said, you know, things happen. My morning is pretty strict, and it's also the time that everyone else is asleep. So it's really hard. My dog is the biggest distraction in the morning. And so I had to incorporate her into my morning routine, because I'll be writing my notes, and then she'll be like crying, so I gotta feed her and let her out, and it threw me off. So that's the only distraction I have. The key is to schedule everything else as far in advance as possible. So I'm not above working weekends. I work weekends all the time. I work most Saturdays. I work some Sundays, but when I don't miss soccer games either. You know, so
So you feel you have a good work-life balance, it's not just work.
there's no balance. There's balancing.
But, yeah, balancing. That's the thing, you know, not everybody wants to work 50-hour weeks every single week.
Yeah, that's exactly
I wanna
right.
be able to bring in as many transactions as possible in the least amount of work hours possible.
That's right.
So that I can enjoy my 5 kids.
That's right.
That's the kicker there, is you know, when you're on, you're on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And try to have it set up.
I don't wanna work
Where-
50, 60 hours a
yeah.
week, I wanna work
No.
48 hours.
No, but the contract
Cause it'll wear you
go
out.
back and forth.
Okay, so two questions that kind of tie together is, how do you track your contacts and what type of contacts they are? And then, how often do you go back and sort and qualify your database and kick people out and
Go for it, my brother. By the way, next house I buy, I'm gonna buy it through you. I like how you roll.
And
Myself.
I'll say, Ken writes me notes. I've gotten notes from Ken. I've written Ken a
You
couple
write me
notes.
notes.
Not as many as Ken has written me. And I mean, it just goes to
About
show,
that.
if you got no one to write a note to, so first of all, the calls feel
I got a
good.
note for Andre and a note for Ken. right?
See, look, you got
Oh, you
notes
do
written
bring
already.
Might want to Scott.
I did it this morning before anybody came in the office.
So the key is consistency, right? So you have to be consistent. If you've got no one to write a note to, I freaking write notes to my kids sometimes, and they actually love it. You know, so I would say the key is consistency. If you got no one to write a note to, still write a freaking note to somebody. I write notes to my barber, to my mechanic, to Scott, because I want to get into the habit, and then it just kind of keeps the flow going. To answer your question, sorting and qualify. So to me, the Buffini system taught me the A+, A, B, C, D clients. A+ is a client who's referred you more than once. It's an A+ client. Those are that's your tribe. Those are your peeps. You can call and be like, oh my gosh, how about this thing that happened in whatever, and you guys would have it's like your friend. You want to grab lunch, you want to grab a beer. A client is someone who's referred you before. B is someone who would refer you. C is someone who needs to be taught how to refer you still. And a D, they say is delete, but it's just like not. I have trouble deleting my clients. That's probably why I have so many people in my database. It's just people that you don't really, but maybe they were like a complete douche to you during the transaction, right? We've all been through that before. Or just took you for a ride or whatever. So, but there's still nonetheless, but see, here's the thing. I've had an A+ go to a D, and I've had a D go to an A+. So, second part of your question, I should be doing that more. I would say you should do it every 2 to 3 months or every quarter. I probably do it like 3 times a year, and this year I'm doing much better. It's only January, but this year I'm much more engaged in the sorting of my database. So I was looking at the beginning of the year, and I was like, these people aren't A+ anymore. What are they doing here? So I moved them around. I think quarterly, I think you should be sorting and reclassifying, honestly.
Okay.
Scott, it's about once a year.
Once a year.
And I really, I look at it, and I just keep in there who I really have a legitimate relationship with, because that's how I've done it. That's my style. So I size it down, and everybody's in there where I can pretty much tell you who their kids are, what their kids' interests are, where they go to school, where do they go to college, where the parents grew up, what their parents do, and it's sort of, I got all the stuff in my head, but we've got it, we've got all that in our database, but I'm looking to stay in touch with people that I've groomed a relationship at this point in my career, who we know each other pretty well, and so I know when we're first just starting out doing it, whoever we come in contact with, they want to be part of our database. But years down the road, you'll find all those people, if we stay in touch with them, they will be that bread and butter type A, they will be those number 8, those A clients. That'd be all we'll ever need, and that just fits my style, where if I touch them, we know each other, and who knows, conversation may go 5 minutes, it could go 30, depending on the time you got, but.
Then we have those clients that we know is going to be 30 minutes when we call them, so you got a budget for that.
You call them
know
driving
it's
down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you guys do about geographic areas? Do you include a geographic farm in your database?
No. I work by referral, so it's where the business takes me, and I just kind of have a footprint that usually my business is referred. As far as a geographic farm, I've started to farm, I really started getting after it about a year ago. With each of my listings, I would create a social media page for that listing. And then once I sold it, it would be a page you can like. And then once I sold it, I turned it into a neighborhood page. So then it turned from, 123 Main Street to Brookfield, Chantilly, Virginia. And then I would just put things, and that's kind of how I farm. So I don't really send out mailers, but then I put like, here's the weather for Chantilly. Here's the latest listing. Let us know if you need any information or want to go see the open houses. Here's, this new thrill zone is opening up in Chantilly. Go out and support. Oh, Brookfield, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of the way I farm. It doesn't cost anything. And I've seen a good return on it in the little time I've been doing it. Separate from the database. A lot of people in there aren't in my database until we engage, and then they call my database.
Amanda, my geographic farm, what was that old ZZ Top song, Nationwide? Now I just take it universal. And, but I say that it's not a geographic, my farm is the people I know. And so, I know there is, plenty of good biz in there. But I've noticed here lately, in my old age, I'm getting more on point with it. So I can take that farm and I'll just go, what's so cool about it, when you start building this database, you just call who you want to call, whoever you feel like calling at that time. I mean, like, we thought we have a plan, but like last night I said, daggone, I think I'll call such and such, and that's what I'm calling today. Really makes it fun. But I'll do that. But while I'm doing that, in between it, and I'll be at my computer, I'll be at the office, always wanted a window, so now I got a window. Never had a window before, but I got a window and it's inspiring. So got the window there and everything. So, but the cool thing about it is, in a 3-hour time span, 4-hour time span, I'll be calling, texting, my notes are out, boom, 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 all over the daggone place, but just loving every minute of it. And that's my farm. And so now, what I see lately in doing it, really in about 3 hours, something, when you go back and look at it, and you say, okay, on a Saturday from 10 to 1, I hit it hard, whether it was texting, whatever it may be, most of it note writing or calling, because you can do that, you can do both pretty good, you're just there working it. 3 hours will pull out a transaction. You may not see it that day, but when you keep record of it, because Scotty told me years ago, the power's in the numbers, keep your numbers, you gotta keep your numbers, and you're still right on. So when you do that, for example, a couple that I sold a house to 20 years ago, I sent them a note out of the blue, late October. They're calling me 2 weeks later to buy a rental property for their daughter. Just fun. And that the more you do it, the more that kind of stuff happens. And I think the more you do it, when you look, well, how many hours do I need to do it? It gets better and better and better. For the hours you do it, you'll get more business. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but
I forget what I asked. Yeah.
that's all right.
That's great.
Thanks.
Right.
Okay, any other questions for these guys? All right, what's the one thing that sets you apart from every other realtor out there? Start with you, Andre.
Cookies.
They're good too. They're good.
We bake cookies. And we bring them every appointment we ever go on. We bake cookies and we bring them to our clients. And so,
Awesome.
and that's actually won us business.
Now, Andre, let me tell you about them cookies. So y'all give them to me. I go home and heat them up in the toaster oven. Set those suckers on a plate now. Put some nice vanilla Friars ice cream on it. A little bit of chocolate syrup on top. Put a cherry on there. Beautiful. Beautiful. My sweetie says that's not good for you. I told her, my mom always said it coats your stomach. So I love those cookies. Scotty, I'd say if there's one thing I can say, love what you do. Be passionate about what you do.
It just sucks.
Yeah.
That's what sets them apart.
Oh yeah, we'll
Both of you have
well,
socks.
Me too.
yeah, yeah, gotta be set apart.
Yes.
Gotta be set. My voice scares the hell out of people.
Yeah.
So that that's different right there. And but anything when you stay in touch people as a realtor, it is different. It is different. say the other thing, Scotty, is that I try to be mindful of this. When you say, well, what can set you apart? I try to keep in mind two things. My job is to serve the client. My other job is always to be selling. The key word, always be selling. Sell from the start to the end, from A to Z. If we got a listing, am I going to call the agent before the agent shows it to sell the listing? If I believe in the listing, to always be selling. And I think those two things, if you can make good use of every second in the day, which ain't easy to do, prospecting, serving the client, always be selling, because that's what we do. Knowing the contract very well, front and back, knowing financing, that helps us sell, because we close more deals, because we can structure more deals. And I think when you look at it, go, that's what sets us apart. That's what sets us apart. That's what we're paid to do.
Piggybacking off what Ken said, you want to serve the client and you want to sell if it's right for them.
That's right.
Not just because you want to make money, but is it right for them? And I think that alone will set you apart. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, a buddy at the gym was telling me that the other realtor he used was mad at him because he bought a for sale by owner. So it was just two people, no deal. And his buddy that he's known forever was mad at him that he didn't use him. He's like, I could have made $5,000 off you. And that was what was he thinking about? He wasn't thinking about whether this guy was getting a good deal. He was thinking about his commission. So I've told my clients so many times, like, you don't need a short sale. You know, you'll be fine. Just pay your mortgage down, ride it out, don't sell right now. They're like, Andre, you don't make any money if you don't sell my house. I'm like, I know, but this isn't the right thing. So sell them when it's the right thing to do. And the other thing I can say that probably sets me apart, or just have no fear. When you call, have no fear. You know, how many people, I hope this is useful to you guys. Pick up the phone and call your peeps, because if they don't want you to call them, they're either not going to answer or they're going to tell you not to call them. But until then, don't have any fear, because why are you calling? You're calling to serve them in some way. How are they? How's the family? Client event. Happy home sale anniversary. Happy birthday. How's little Johnny? I'm interested in you. If they don't appreciate that, then maybe you want to ask if that's the kind of client you want to deal with, because think of how that transaction will be. So have no fear when you call. And I say that to you guys as much as I say it to myself, because I still doubt myself every single day before I call. And usually it ends with F it in a little more, and then I call. Just literally, pick up the phone, don't be scared.
You know, Andre, you're right. And Scott, if I could just speak back there real quickly, then I'll be quiet. But I heard a guy at a conference about 3 years ago. He's from Dayton, Ohio, and he's a big agent there in Dayton. Does a luxury agent market, 500,000. I'm going, wow, that's our average sales price, and it just sort of like, wow. So here in our market, and I'll never forget it. He was probably 3 years older than me, and he stood up and he said, I live every day like it's my last. He said, and I work every day like I'm going to retire tonight. And I got to watching him and listening to him, and I said, I think what he's really saying is, Andre, is what you say. That's what you're saying. He has no fear. He has no fear. And a buddy told me the other night, he goes, look, man, he said, here's the deal. He said, Deepak Chopra's new book, have you read it, buddy? You always read that stuff. It's 7-something. All these books, right. There have been more books written about 7-something, successful, whatever. So evidently, I guess he says in there, 90% of this thing is now. It's today. It's today. It ain't yesterday, because yesterday is not going to make any bearing on anything other than us learning from it. And it ain't tomorrow, because we're not promised tomorrow. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring us. But it's today, and making the best out of every second today. And like you're saying, Andre, if we're living it that way, we don't have any fear. We don't have any fear, because we're going to give it all all we've got. One more thing that you said that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That huge nugget. It's a huge nugget. But when you say, let's say our advice to someone is the best advice to say, you don't need to sell now. You don't need to buy now. It's the best thing for you. Here's what I've learned about that. 20 bills later from that person, 20, 25, whatever it may be, that's what that can bring you by serving that person right then and say, hey, your time's not now. But that person, that family, they can send you business all the way down the line. It may not even be them. It may be, but through people they know. And if I went back and knew what I know now, I'd just tell people, first deal, I'll just do it for free. Matter of fact, I'll pay you.
That's Hauser.
Oh, it is? Leroy Hauser?
They pay you $9.95 to list your house.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I'll do that way.
You change your mind?
Yeah.
All right, so you got your nugget. Danny, what's your nugget? What are you taking out of this?
The consistency.
Okay, Matt?
Building how to build the database, how to get that information.
Susie?
Really focusing on my morning routine, getting it done first thing, eating the frog and getting it done.
The Miracle Morning for Realtors, great book
Yes,
to read.
it
I
is.
have it.
And
What is it
reread.
called?
Miracle Morning for Realtors.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
savers,
I need to
it
read
really
that.
is.
Good book.
You go back
Morning is
to
all
it.
over the place. I kind of agree with her. I need to set my morning routine. That's what I really need to focus on.
Hot bad notes in my client appreciation party that I need meeting to set up for I don't know how long. Consistency with reaching out to contacts.
Just keep hitting everybody, like, as far as being social and putting myself out there and like sending them little things I find, articles, things like that. I do more of that together, one-on-ones.
Awesome. Kevin?
Yeah, have a plan and just keep going, right? Don't stop, show up, show
Right.
up, show up, show up.
Good. Karen?
Saving those personal connections so that you remember their birthdays, kids' birthdays, dogs' birthdays, all those great nuggets.
I just think pulling the list the night before who you're gonna call the next day is great, cause then you don't have to think about it.
Yes.
Just do
That's
it.
right. You got a plan.
Yeah, like everyone's saying, consistency, just doing a little bit every day adds up over like a month, over a year, and before you know it, being consistent will really add up to 700 contacts or 1,700.
Great. Tim?
Rigidly following the plan of 50 calls a day and 10 notes per day.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
I thought we were doing a great job touching our database until I heard these two. So I'm gonna start doing it
You
more.
do great,
I'm
Dawn.
gonna do more though. Now I'm motivated to do more, so.
Always letting people know what you do.
Yeah,
They'll come back to you.
yeah. Yeah.
Scott?
Yeah.
Have no fear. No fear. Becky?
The birthdays thing, like picking up on Facebook and then putting it into your database, I was like, that's a good one.
I think, well, two things. I think that also, don't be afraid, just do it and not be afraid is one. And then I think that setting your numbers up and knowing who you're gonna call before the next day. That really resonated.
Cleaning up the database.
Paul?
So many, but I think that I need to strive towards even more personal connection with each call or email and text.
Always get back to people right away.
Let you go.
Definitely the no fear and then know best time of day, work it in, just do it.
Have a system and work it, always take action now.
Great.
I believe in implementing the morning routine because it makes the day more productive.
Awesome. Well, good job, everybody. Andre, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scotty. Thanks, guys.
Go sell something.